السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، والصلاة والسلام على خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أما بعد فأوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله، فإنه حبل متين وعروة وثقى. صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Dear brothers and sisters in Iman, first of all, I would like to advise myself for taqwa, parhizgari and piety, and then I advise all of you for the same. In last few khutbas of Jumma, I have been talking about the current conditions of Muslim Ummah around the globe and trying to understand that why 2 billion Muslims are in so poor conditions in the world. We are a very big and significant population of this world. Almost 2 billion Muslims, 49 countries are where Muslims are in majority. According to numbers, 50 or around 50 countries where Muslims are ruling, and they have governments, and they have treasury, and they have army, and they have universities, and they have market, and they have everything. But if you see on the other hand, what is our role and what is our influence and what is our say in the world? You can look at UN, you can look at Security Council, you can look at any other international forums, and you can see around the world that where do we stand. And particularly in these days when we see what is happening in Palestine, and we see that it is now almost 4 months and a half that Muslims are being slaughtered, they are being bombed, they are being killed, they are being thrown out from those homes and properties, and it has been happening from a long time, and the world is just looking at it as spectator, and we are only begging for over this ceasefire and ceasefire and ceasefire, and nobody is paying any attention to it. Situation has reached to a point where we actually have stopped even begging or asking for ceasefire. So this situation didn't happen my brothers and sisters, just overnight. This didn't happen overnight. Muslims have a history of 1400 years, a little more than 1400 years. And yes, the history of Muslims is not very admirable. It's not, if you look critically at Muslim history, it's not a golden history or a history that you should take any pride in it. But still, Muslims were movers and shakers for this world for almost 1,000 years. For 1,000 years, despite all their weaknesses and deficiencies and defects and internal power struggles and all those kind of reasons or factors, still they were able to rule the world for 1,000 years. And they remain the major player on international stage. But then finally, those weaknesses which they had actually from the very beginning of their history finally came to show its results, and they started falling apart. Muslims, one of the major blunder which they made from the very beginning, that was the issue when they changed the criteria for leadership. The leadership was never ideal among Muslims after the demise of Prophet. After the demise of Prophet, they got into some kind of tribal debate and the tribal trends and some old hatreds and whatever, meaning I don't want to get into that sectarian discussion. But the point is, they changed the criteria for leadership. Yes, according to Shahid Mutahari and our other authentic scholars, the changes in the leadership or in the rules and laws and the system were very minor and minute in the beginning. So much so that many people even can't see and can't tell that there was any change or there was any mistake or there was any blunder or there was any mistake made. Those and every big change doesn't happen overnight. When people start drifting, they don't drift a long way in the first go, in one go or in the first step. Innovations and changes and blunders and mistakes and those big changes in direction and leadership don't happen overnight. It happens bit by bit, a little by little. So yes, in the very beginning and first 20, 30 years, from our perspective, it was a big change. And it was a drastic change. But that's our position as followers of Ahlul Bayt. But for most of the part on the most part of the Ummah, the change was very minute, very small, very little, and something which they can understand. And it was not a big deal. They say, even when you will have debate with them, they would say, ideally it would have been better that it was Ali, but if it was Abu Bakr, again, it's not a big deal. It's instead of having this young man, so we had an old man, and young man had another, he had lot of time and opportunity, and he would get his chance too, and finally he got it. So to them, it's a little different issue and smaller issue, but for us that was the point from where the train actually left the right track. And then what happens, it took only 50 years that now you see the result of that, this train which left the track and went in the wrong direction, initially slowly, and we felt that's fine, but then within 50 years now, the worst man of history is sitting in the seat of the best man in the history. Within 50 years. What happens? Yazid bin Muawiyah is now Khalifatul Muslimin. Of course, such action couldn't be taken in right as a first go. As a first step, you couldn't find someone like Yazid and bring him and make him sit in the place of Prophet Muhammad, for example, after his demise. You couldn't do that. You could do only what you did. But you didn't know that this little change, and apparently an innocent change and not a big deal, still we got a gentleman, a senior one, very pious one, very good one, close companion of the Prophet, his father-in-law, his old friend. And you can say all those things, but then what is going to happen after 50 years? The track which you have taken will lead you to Muawiyah and Yazid. And then continuously you will have all those Banu Abbas and then Banu Umayyah, one worse than other. And it continued. So, my brothers and sisters, that's why they say that when these kind of things happen, even if those are small inhirafat, those small deviations, those who are people of ideology, those who are the people of true understanding and the pure conscious, they have to stand up. They have to protest. They have to make their point. Because apparently those innocent changes and those small innocent changes eventually become a very big and very big deviations. So just I wanted to give you touch about that Islamic history is not a good history from the very beginning. But still, with all its weaknesses and defects, Muslims remained a strong power. And it was not only that they had army and they had soldiers and they conquered the world, they produced the best scientists, they produced the best scholarship and scholars, they produced a rich culture, they produced a very rich intellectual tradition, great philosophers, great scholars in mathematics and algebra. They actually invented sciences. They translated some sciences from Greece, but then they just didn't keep those sciences in the same condition. They added, overhauled, and improved, and taken those sciences to the new phases and to the new heights. Muslims created a new architecture, a new system of governance, a whole lifestyle, and you can continue. So it's not only army and it's not only conquering the world, but it is a culture, it is a tradition, it is scientific history, it's a philosophical history. They gave to this people like Ibn Sina, that whose books were textbooks for medicine in Europe. Just about 200 years ago, still 200 years ago, so the book of Abu Ali Sina was a textbook in medicine in Europe. Abu Rihan al-Bairuni, even what you see, this cap on the heads of these new graduates, when people go for graduation, you see a hat on their head. This was the hat of Abu Ali Sina. Abu Ali Sina and had wear that hat and this thing which string, क्या कहते हैं उसे? जी? Tassel. So this tassel had a role. He would spend his nights in studies, and he would not like to fall asleep. So he would tie this. It was a longer tassel with something like roof, to just see that if he gets dozed and if he gets sleepy and he goes down, so he gets up. There was no alarm at that time, so that he can stay awake during the night and continue what he was doing. Until today, everyone is wearing that, Abu Ali Sina's cap, when they graduate. You see these judges wearing these abas, and even at international courts, and all these judges around the world. And if you just go and examine the terminology in many sciences and in many areas of life and in many fields, you will find the Arabic terms and Arabic terminology. So Muslims contributed to the advancement of this world, to the advancement of science, to the advancement of governance, to advancement of so many universal ideas. And books have been written on that, articles have been written on that. Khutbah Jumma is not that kind of forum where I can quote and bring all those kind of references. I just wanted to give you a pointer. So we have our days, and we made our contribution. But then those weaknesses which we had in our history, and our scholars and our scientists and our intellectuals were able to somehow balance. A time came when they were not able to balance, and finally the leadership came totally in hands of those corrupt leaders. Those leaders who were totally corrupt, and there was no balancing hand from the scholars or from scholarships, and finally there was a disaster, and after 1000 years Muslims totally left the international stage, and then they got colonized by all these European countries. And you know the history of colonialism. Every Muslim land, every Muslim country was colonized. When they went there, they totally destroyed the local culture, the local system of education, the local language, the local traditions for doing certain things, the local systems. everything was demolished. And people were encouraged to abandon what they had because it was not good and adopt the modern one, the new one, the French one, the British one, the Dutch one, the German one. And the entire Muslim Ummah in all those colonized countries, they felt that now they have to abandon, they have to turn back to their own tradition, to their own local language, to their own local culture, to their own local system, and they have to go with this new powerful phenomenon, which was British, Dutch, German, French, or whatever. And then this is again whole history. Finally, in last about 100 years, these colonies started becoming independent and sovereign countries, at least for saying's sake. For saying's sake, now we have all these Muslim countries, they are sovereign and they are free. But they are all under new world order. Their freedom is defined. You are free to do this, but you are not free to do this. You can't be, they have created their own terminology also. You need to be a positive force. You need to play a positive role. You are not supposed to destabilize the region. You are not supposed to destabilize the power in the region or in the area. So your freedom in your own countries is also very limited. And if you want to go beyond that, and if you want to change your own government according to the wish of the people, most of the time, first you have to get clearance from London or Washington. You have to come here and make your case. You have to come and submit your proposal. You have to come to the State Department and sit with them and talk to them, hire a lobbying firm, and go and talk and sell your plan and get the approval and prove that you will be a positive force in the area. Look at the word positive. You will be a positive, and you will be a friend, and you will be peaceful, and you will be friendly, and you will remain within the international norms, and you will be cooperative with all these international forums and international institutions. So you come, you talk, you negotiate, you submit your case, then you get the clearance, then you go in your country, and then if you can get the vote, yes, you are acceptable. But if you don't do that, then you are bad guys. The international government will not recognize the vote. The Ismail Haniya, for example, even if he is selected by the people of Palestine in Gaza, but they will label him terrorist, and the vote is not accepted. People can't elect, for example, Haniya, this Ismail Haniya, their leader, because he is not acceptable to the international powers. This is just, I gave you one example. You know about Muhammad Morsi in Egypt? People came out, people had their campaign, people had their revolution, people got into the elections, they elected, the previous one was dictator, the Hosni Mubarak, and they elected Muhammad Morsi as their prime minister. And then what happened? Muhammad Morsi, finally army general Sisi comes, does coup against Muhammad Morsi, puts Muhammad Morsi in the cage, in the jail, and finally he died in jail. And the champions of democracy in London and Washington, they just look the other side. This is their internal issue. But if they do revolution in Iran, this is not their internal issue. If they select Ismail Haniya in Palestine, this is not their internal issue. Then international order is in danger. But if the Sisi comes and he throws out the people's elected Prime Minister Mohammad Morsi, it is internal issue. So my brothers and sisters, we need to be the people who know what's going on and what has happened. It is still February. In February, when the people in Iran, they understood the game and they changed the game and they threw out that puppet and they did revolution and they brought their own government. Until today they are not accepted. Well, this is their internal issue. They want to have a puppet from somebody or they want to have their own elected president. Their elections are not good elections. Their system is not good. But the system in Pakistan, alhamdulillah, there is Ayat-e-Tathir which has revealed on the elections of Pakistan. Those are acceptable. And the best elections were in Bangladesh. And everyone has given their full blessings to the elections in Bangladesh are beautiful. The elections in Kuwait, excellent. The elections in those other minorities, they are excellent. Only election which are not good, the election of Jamhuri Islami. Islamic Republic, elections are not good. So you understand that there is actually a plan. There is a game. And only for saying sake, we say it is a free world. And countries, these are sovereign countries. Now election, what is happening in India? Modi, the one who couldn't even come and visit United States of America. Now he is darling of United States of America. Someone who was in the list of terrorists and he couldn't secure the visiting visa of United States of America. Now arms are in the arms of presidents. And President Modi is one of those most powerful leaders around the world and in the world. So my brothers and sisters, these are all double standards. And this is all hypocrisy. And the real plans after those world wars, real plans were made. Apparently countries were given their freedom, but everybody knew what are the limits of their freedom. Yes, now we don't have viceroy sitting in our countries, but the ambassadors of certain powerful countries are the viceroys in those countries. Those ambassadors are the real viceroys in those countries. Now, to finish and complete my discussion, again I went too much in Tamheed. We got into this mess of colonial system and then we got this so-called freedom. And today what is happening with Muslims, you are watching. What is the value of Muslim life? What is the value of Muslim blood? And who we are. And I believe that even worst is coming. Worst is coming, my brothers and sisters. Note my words. We are just globally entering into bigger crisis and bigger crisis. And situation will be very bad. So that's why we as an ummah need to sit down and try to understand what went wrong and how can we fix it and how can we get together and how can we move forward and how can we make sure that we come out from this slavery and we can leave a better world for our children and for our grandchildren and for our generations to come. In this particular country right now, there is a new merger and new marriage is taking place. It's Zionism and Hindutva. This Hindutva, the Hindu fascism and the Zionism, they are now in one bed. And they are helping each other. You know how many Hindus just recently, in the name of jobs, they went to Israel when they felt they alone cannot now fight these Palestinians, and they needed army and they needed soldiers. They needed these rented army and rented soldiers. Then what happened? They said, no, we need new labor, we need new workers, we need people to come and do business with us and work and take place. So these new chartered flights went from India. Chartered flights in Israel. Then if you watch the social media, almost 99% Indian social media and even their state media was in support of Israel and was against the Palestine and also Jamhuri Islami. That was a new trend to see, that in India openly talking against Islamic Republic. So this is a new thing, and now what is going to happen? What is happening in Washington area, in Maryland, in Virginia? So many powerful lobbies, so many activists, so many new organizations. These mandirs, these temples, these charities, and these lobbying has started. And when, with Zionism, that was at least meaning they were sophisticated. The Zionist will fight you and will go against you and will confront you, but in a very sophisticated way. But this Hindutva thing, it is not sophisticated. They don't mind. I just give you one example, that when we open businesses, you open businesses, and we hire different employees, at least I didn't see any Muslim employer that who employs all Muslim employees in his business. Muslims don't have that kind of courage. And to bring all his Muslim employees and employees of his color and his features. I didn't see at least one single Muslim employee like that. But sometime go and see. Now, I just visited in last few weeks because I'm going to Pakistan and I was doing shopping, so I happened to go to Macy in Woodfield. I will request you to please make a visit to this Macy store in Woodfield Mall. And if there are 40 employees, 35 are Hindus, Indians, and you can just go and look at them and talk to them, and they have their names here. Everywhere. The Macy is almost, first it was J.C. Penney, now it is all Macy. And then they have the courage to hiring every employee at Dunkin' Donut, for example, from their own town, from their own village. Muslim employee is not going to do that. So a Zionist is also not going to do that. He will have at least one white, one Chinese, one Asian, one black, one Muslim, one non-Muslim. So he will have some kind of mix-up. But Hindutva doesn't believe in that. So my point is, my brothers and sisters, we need to look at the entire world. We don't need to focus only on one issue. There are multiple issues which we are going through and multiple challenges which we are going through. Our doctors, our engineers, these young boys and girls who are going to college and university, and tomorrow they will go in job market. Tomorrow you are going to go in businesses, in politics.
In other areas of life, this Hindutva will be standing at door and turning you down. If you want to experience, just go and fly with this Ittihad airline, and then you see what happens with you in UAE, where all the employees are Indians. I have stopped flying with Ittihad or Dubai or this Qatar thing. You go at Qatar International Airport, it looks like you are in Gujarat or Kerala. You don't feel you are in Qatar. You don't feel that when you are in Dubai or when you are in this Abu Dhabi, that this is this is UAE or this is something like. You think you are in Kerala or you are in Gujarat or you are somewhere like that. So, my brothers and sisters, keep eyes open. And we Muslims are very quick to blame others and criticize others and just keep sitting in corners and do nothing. We need to claim our space. We need to compete. We need to educate our children with the best possible education. Send them to the best schools. Sell these big homes and live in apartments, but pay tuitions for your children. Don't drive these expensive cars. You can drive a third-class used car and share with your wife and your children and have one car or two, but send your children to the best schools. Pay their fees. And then we need to sponsor, we need to, meaning my children are not only my two children, all these Muslim children are my children. They are sponsoring, they are giving scholarships, they are dedicating funds, they are trying to bring the people from their own village and town and their own family and promoting them, and we are even pushing them back. And we are not bringing our children, our people in. So, my brothers and sisters, this is a call. Again, I want to be very clear. I'm not saying that Jews don't have any stake here. No, they have a stake. I'm not saying that Hindus don't have a stake here. No, they have stake. Every community, small or big, which has legally come in and migrated here and is part of this country, they have stakes, they have interests, they should have. But their fair share. No control. And we don't want to come out from one slavery and enter into the another slavery. So that is something that we need to think about. We need to keep our eyes open. We need to get closer together, help each other. And this is a very pivotal time. The first generation which is leaving, they should leave the legacy funds. And they should leave legacy funds, endowment funds for the community, for children, for youth, for education, for businesses, for all those kind of loans. You will get much more sawab than leaving only for your wife and for your children. Your wife and your children will survive, inshallah, with everybody. But think about everybody. So leave endowment funds, leave big money, whatever you can afford for those loans and scholarships and for those kind of things. The people who are working, they should, while you are working, your all money is not only for your own luxury. Use your money for genuine needs for your family, but then save it and donate to the community causes, to the community organizations, to the community forums, to build community, to support community, to uplift the community. And not only the money, your time, your talent, get involved, volunteer, be part of it, lead these forums, lead these initiatives, spend your money with your own hands. I'm not saying bring it all money and put in my pocket or give to me. But stand up, get involved. build the community and save the community and protect the community. Recite salawat.
إن أحسن الحديث وأبلغ الموعظة أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحليم الكريم غافر الذنب وقابل التوب وهو الغفور الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل وعلى أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين علي بن أبي طالب وعلى سيدة نساء العالمين فاطمة الزهراء اللهم صل وعلى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة وعلى علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي. اللهم صل على مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان وعلى آبائه الكرام ما اتصل الليالي والأيام. أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون.